Hello and welcome back to the Fantasy Cricket Coach. Today we're looking at how Game Week 6 went, a review of the week, and then we'll look ahead to Game Week 7 a little later on with some of my transfer plans and watch list for this weekend. We've got a new segment today. We're starting with a new segment of who made the team of the week and what the top manager did this week before looking at my own performance and how that went. So, new segment, let's kick it off. First of all, the team of the week. The top player performances of this week. If you had this exact team, you would have scored 3,322 points, not including the double for your captaincy, which would have been obscene and a clear winner of the game week. Abbott and Barnard are some of the higher owned players on this list. So if you had those, there's a lot of points on offer there. They did super well. A lot of people had Barnard captain as well. So a really good decision there. But there's also a lot of differential points on this list. So if you have any of them as well, a lot of low owned players who might not feature in a lot of teams. Some highlights here, maybe Tom Latham on his return to county cricket, looking really good. He played super well against Surrey, batted very well, batted a long time. So he looks like a good option. And young Ben Kellaway as well is a bit of a standout. He looks really good with over 300 points in the last 2 weeks. He's smashed it. So another cheap option if you're looking for an all-rounder. He's super cheap, and actually, if he can keep returning with 300 points, the points per million is obscene, really. So that's super good. Moving on to the top manager of the week, it was Fine Leggy with 2,658 points. He had Barnard as captain, which is fantastic, and he had 5 players above 300 points, which is dreamy. I can only imagine him sitting down watching it happen and just watching his points tally up. Would have been absolutely ideal. He's an active manager too. He's inside the top 10, so I'm sure he's super happy about that. I mean, I wonder what moves he's making this week. It'd be interesting to know. But that's a fantastic game week for him. I'm sure moving into that top 10 as an active manager is that's ideal. Moving on, as for my team, my game week review. So I got 1,635 points this week. I was within 1,000. I was within the top 1,000 for the game week, but it's still a small red arrow down to 94th overall, and that just shows how difficult it is towards the top. That even being inside the top 1,000, the top 10% each week is not enough, and you have to get further up those rankings. You have to do better than just top 1,000 each week. I'm not majorly upset. It was only a small red arrow, and it's only small. It's not the end of the world, and I'm sure I can get that rank back. But it's back-to-back red arrows now, and so hopefully I can get a green arrow this weekend, because even those small red arrows, they do add up over time. So how did my team do? Looking at the batters, Yates 211 points. He got 3 wickets, which was actually pretty nice, and batted well in the first innings. Harris 164 runs. He's looking to go and smashing it. He could well be the first batter since Hick to get over 1,000 runs before the end of May, which would be, well, as an Aussie, that would be a bit insane. But he's looking really good. He's in good form. I'm glad I brought him in this week. I'm glad I got him in my team. He's looking like he's just going to score a lot of runs at the moment. Nichols, a bit disappointing, really. He had good game opportunity. He had a lot of chance to score big runs, but he's just in a bit of a team that's struggling at the moment. It just doesn't seem possible to score big. He's getting out early on because wickets are falling at the other end and there's pressure building up, and he's not quite converted any of those scores. He started well in each innings. He's just not quite converted. So, and potentially that's a team aspect too. Worcestershire just struggling at the bottom of Division 1, but difficult to say, really. Simpson, 173 points. No runs really, but he got 8 catches, and those just shows those wicketkeeper points are huge, and actually selecting the right wicketkeeper each week. And if you have 2 wicketkeepers, which one takes the gloves in your team? Because you only get points for the wicketkeeper who's in the wicketkeeper position. Is really important. So this week I know I've got Bracey and Simpson. So which one do I put in the wicketkeeper position? Which one's going to get more catches, more stumpings? Super hard to say, but that will be a question for tomorrow's team selection video. In the all-rounders, I'll start with the bad. Brooks, 69 points. Similar to Nichols, had good chances, but just wasn't firing. Didn't look amazing. That's okay. He's cheap. He played a role in my team. Dawson, 76 points. A little bit disappointing there, really. He's so expensive, and 76 points is not really what I'm looking for from a player that expensive. He had good game involvement, but just he couldn't pick up any runs or wickets, which is unlike him, really. I'm not too worried because it's probably just an off week and he's done better in previous weeks, but I'm expecting some runs and wickets from him pretty promptly, I think. Proctor, 87 points. Considering that he started off with a duck within 10 minutes of the game week starting, I'm not too upset. That was a really rubbish start to the game week. Minus 40 off the bat. Again, he is good game involvement. Just it wasn't his game, and it's a little bit disappointing. And there's a bit of a theme here with the all rounders. They had good game involvement. I think they're good selections. They just haven't paid off, and that sometimes happens, I guess. But onto the flip side, we had Barnard. 308 points, a century, and a couple of wickets in there. Very, very happy. The only thing is, I should have captained him. If you watched last week's video, I was really questioning the captaincy. I was thinking about maybe playing a double captaincy chip. In the end, I'm glad I didn't do that because Proctor and Dawson both blanked. But I was really questioning the captaincy. I nearly went with Barnard. I didn't in the end, and I really should have. But that's a lot of points there, and that sort of saved my game week a bit, I guess. Moving on to the bowlers, Ahmed. It was a seam-dominated pitch. He said he didn't get many overs in, and Patterson White was playing as well, so was pretty low game involvement for Farhan, which will happen, and he'll have weeks where he plays on a spin-friendly pitch and actually he picks up much more game involvement. So that's okay, just a bit of an off week. I'll be interested to see if Notts continue with Patterson White playing, because if they do, this might be a bit of a worry for Ahmed because it might take some of his game involvement away. But for the price, he's pretty good. He's sub 5 million. He's a super good pick, I think. So I'm okay with that for this week. Gorvin, few runs, couple of wickets, an all-round good performance from him. Considering he's a bowler in the game, he's a real big all-rounder in real life. He averages 37 with the bat this season. I think there's absolute value there. Someone who is in the bowling. Is down as a bowler, but really is a really handy batsman and can score runs. So I think there's a lot of value there. Porter got 105. I'm not going to complain about it when you get more than 100 points. That's sort of what you're looking for from your players, but it's not as much as I thought he would get. With no Sam Cook playing, he only picked up 2 wickets. It's not terrible, but hopefully you can get a big haul in the future and do much better, especially if Sam Cook is now away with England. He's leading the line. Can he pick up some early wickets? I know he's got a really good fixture this week. I'll get into that tomorrow. So I'm definitely keeping Porter. I think he looks good for the future, but hopefully he can just ramp up those returns slightly. Okay, so that's how my team did. Moving on to my transfer plans for Game Week 7. So looking ahead to this weekend, who's on my watch list? Who am I looking to buy? Who have I got my eye on? Well, first of all, it's important to say there's no more blanks. So no more blank game weeks. Every team will play from now for the rest of the season every week. So I've got lots of players back off the bench, such as Holland and Bracey. So maybe not many transfers needed this week necessarily. I can get a good full playing 11 out easily. So, maybe some smaller tinkers to get some players that I want rather than, big transfers needed to get a full 11. So these are some of the players I got my eye on. Ben Callaway, mentioned him earlier. He's cheap and maybe he can sit on the bench because my all-round positions I've got Holland, Proctor, Dawson and Barnard. I think they're all top class. I think that's exactly the all-rounders I want at the moment. But I think Callaway is a good option to bring in if one of them is rested or has a tough fixture. I can have Ben Callaway off the bench. He's cheap enough to keep on the bench each week, I think. So definitely someone I might be looking to bring in as sort of a backup option. Moving on to George Hill, another all-rounder I have my eye on. He's got really good game involvement for Yorkshire. He's averaging 15 with the ball this season, but only 20 with the bat. So I wonder how sustainable that really is. Will he average 15 for the rest of the season? Maybe, maybe not. That's a really tough gig averaging 15 over a whole season. So maybe his returns with the ball will sort of fall off slightly. And then if he's only averaging 20 with the bat, there's not much to sort of back that up a bit. So I'm not sure about him. I think he's definitely a good option. I think he's picking up good points at the moment. He's a good option, but the form, if that falls away, I think the points could deteriorate pretty quickly. Ollie Price, my next looking. Another all-rounder. Despite my strength in that position, I mentioned just earlier, despite the fact that I've got a lot of players that I like in my all-rounder slots, they are the people who are picking up big points at the moment. And so it's important to get the right ones. All-rounders are really, really valuable in your team. Ollie Price is doing very well for Gloucestershire. They didn't play last week, but the week before that, he picked up 397 points. He's averaging 73 with the bat, but he's only picked up 6 wickets at 48 with the ball, which limits him a bit. I think it's similar to Hill. They're only firing in one thing rather than both batting and bowling. I think a more bowling all rounder option is his brother Tom Price, but he's in a little less form too. So I think both are good options. But taking up an all rounder space when they're only doing well in one of the disciplines it's a bit of a sacrifice. So if you go there, you have to be confident that they are the right pick for your team. Moving on to some bowlers, Kyle Abbott. As I've said over the last few weeks, I think bowling is the weak point in my team. And so maybe Abbott is the answer. He's averaging 18 with the ball this season. He's consistently got 150 points each week and then a huge 400 last week. The South African bowler is probably one of the most likely options to come into my team to bolster the bowling lineup. He got 8 wickets against an in-form Notts team, and he's looking really good. Warwickshire next week is tough, but I still think there's points on offer there. And I think with some clever transfers, I could play him against above someone like Farhan Ahmed at this point in the season. And Kyle Abbott looks really, really good. Another option I'm looking at is Mohammed Abbas. He's come in, he's replaced Fergus O'Neill. He's done it for Hampshire for many, many seasons. And he started well against Hampshire, ironically, with a 5-wicket haul. And at 5% owned, he's a bit of a differential. So he's some high, it's pretty low owned. So the points are really valuable there. It could be the way to go. I don't know, 8.1 million though, it's a lot of money. Where Abbott's 7.9 million, so a little bit less, or someone like Brett Hutton at 7.2 million. So if you've got the money going, Mohammed Abbas looks like a great option. You know what you get with him. He's going to pick up wickets. He's going to pick up points. He'll do well every week, but it's quite an expensive option, especially if you have people like Dawson in your team as well. Anyway, that is all for today. I'll be back tomorrow for my Game Week 7 team selection and a preview of that game week, so look out for that. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.